First off, some of the that you may not know if you've never lived on a farm or worked and raised your own animals. This hog was raised for us by a farmer. We put the order in, and probably about 4 months, 5 months old. When we butcher a hog or a cow or whatever, we call it harvesting. Instead of saying we killed it, we harvested it, okay? Because we're going to use it. One thing I really want you guys to understand is this is a big sacrifice for an animal. So we don't want to waste or, treat it disrespectfully at any time. Usually in the factory food processing plants, they use a stun gun, which is, it'll take a rod and hit them in the head to knock them out, so they're completely out. But then you have to cut their throat, okay? Because you want the heart beating while it's bleeding out, so all that blood will come out of there, okay? That's why you see blood up here close to the head part. Most of the other stuff that's in here is called myoglobin, which is just a liquid that kind of goes between the muscle fibers, and it reacts the same way as hemoglobin in that oxygen makes it brighten up. You'll see that in the grocery store sometime. You'll get ground beef in a grocery store that's a little gray or brown, but then once you take the plastic off, it brightens up again because it's getting that oxygen. Kidney they usually leave in. The reason they leave this in a inspection facility is they'll actually cut it to see what the inside of the kidney looks like to check the health of the hog. Okay? This is called leaf lard or leaf fat. This is the best kind of fat for lard. It has very little flavor. This is perfect for doing pastry, things like that. Once we turn it into lard, we just render it down, melt it, and then put it in a container, usually a jar. So that's the leaf lard. We're going to break it down into basically 4 primal parts: the ham, the shoulder, the loin, which is right here, and then the belly, which is for bacon on here. It's not just for bacon, but that's typically what we use it for. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to pull down this, being careful not to hit the tenderloin. Okay, and fold that up in there. Keep that out of the way. Okay, now I want to go to the ham. It's called the H bone. It's not H like the letter, it's H, A-I-C-H-E, okay? And when we cut this, we've kind of opened this up so we're not going to get in the way of the belly here. We take a saw. We want to go at the same angle as the H bone is running. We don't want to go straight. And then we want to cut through that femur. And when you're breaking down an animal, you want to saw through the bone first. And as soon as you get through that bone, you can take your breaking knife. Okay. So there's the ham. Next, we're going to go up closer to the head. We'll clean up the inside here a little bit. A lot of this we can use for grind. We'll throw over there. Now from here, what we want to do is we want to count 4 ribs. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to cut between the 5th and the 4th rib. We want to keep it straight. I'm going to try to get through the ribs. We're much better this afternoon. My blade was turning around backwards this morning. Instead of going, how can I not get through this? Okay. Blade out. Okay, so there's the shoulder. Remember, the butt's going to be up here, picnic here, hock there. We want that precious bacon out of there. We are going to cut through to the first rib. First rib we get to, which is right there. We'll take our saw. Goes there. And we want to come about 2 fingers from the back there. Pull it up. Breaking knife. Okay, so there's your loin, and there's your bacon. Let me finish up the shoulder. First thing we're going to take off of the shoulder is the jowls here. There. And we don't want to take the neck bone out. So I'm going to come up under the ribs. This can be smoked and used to flavor soups. We don't generally use a whole lot of pork for stock, so don't usually save bones for stock. Neck bone. Okay, so the shoulder here, we will take off the hock, coming through the meat. This is the stamp to say that it was inspected in a licensed facility. The ham hock. I think all these saws need new blades, but not an excuse. There we go. So this would be the picnic and the butt. Okay, next we'll work the belly. You got these ribs coming up through here. These are your spare ribs, okay? You know, here, baby back ribs, I'll show you those in a second. These are your spare ribs. So what we want to do is kind of find the end of the ribs. We're going to stay close to the ribs. Okay, spare ribs. We're going to square this off a little bit for when we cure it. We're going to cure both these sides of bacon and both hams. We'll take off the end here. Just kind of give it a nice square shape. When we do that, I should probably see it more on this end. Kind of see that bacon taking shape now. Okay. Pull some of this extra fat off the side. Okay, so belly or bacon. Now for the loin here, we're going to flip it over. First thing we do is pull out the tenderloin. This is the most expensive and the most tender piece of the hog. So we're going to pull this out. Just kind of roll. Roll it out. Keep pressure against the rib cage here. There's your tenderloin. This is what you'll be working with this afternoon, getting ready for tomorrow. So what we want to do is we want to pull off any extra fat we can off of this. Typically you can pull most of it off. There's the tenderloin. Now we're going to pull the sirloin, top sirloin out. We're going to come in, look for that first vertebrae. Under here. Get through that. Also want to make sure that we cut around to get rid of the meat off of it. And quick saw through that vertebrae. Done it all the way through. You can actually twist it. That's the bone-in sirloin. Now I'm going to come in at this end. I'm going to run along. There's very few bones here, but still going to try to stay along the backbone. And then there's a set of ribs here that we sawed off before. These are the baby back ribs. We're going to come and slowly, I'm coming with this knife. Make sure we kind of get behind the bones. And behind the rib cage. Okay, we've got that cut loose. So what we're going to do now, flip it over. And you got these feather bones on this side. So the same thing, we want to get behind those bones, that cartilage. Go straight down. What should happen is, okay, so there's the loin. Baby backs are right here. And what I'll do is I'll take the bandsaw and cut that off right at the ribs. So we're not real upset if we have a little extra meat on our baby back ribs. That's okay, if you're eating them. Okay. Now we're just going to cut this into boneless chops. We don't really need any roast. I'll clean this up just a little bit. Remember, all this is not waste, it goes to the sausage, right? We'll square it off there. Alrighty. Any questions? Everybody good? Over here? Everybody good?